Okay.
That was enough banter. Good back and forth.
Hey, talking about life, bro.
I feel like we've been on podcasts together before.
Almost like we've done this.
It's like the voice of reasons from those episodes are finally having no distractions.
Oh, yeah. In my episodes, sometimes 2 conversations will happen at once.
I know. It's extremely wild. And it's like...
Usually that's not the goal, but it does happen.
It's like the other 2 people talking were excited as fuck to get out whatever they got to get out.
Yep.
Thank you for tuning in to the Inquisitive Minds podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Johnny Smith. My guest today is a stand-up comedian, and we'll go with that for now. Stand-up comedian
Hey,
plus
that's better than I usually get.
Mr. Aaron Douglas. Aaron, welcome to the program.
How y'all doing out there?
Good.
Inquisitive people. Do you have what are your fans called? Inquisitioners?
Probably like Dan Brady.
You just get to name them.
Matthew L. Gandy. Chris Izzy.
I meant like, do they have
Marcus D.
Does their posse have a name?
Oh no, you don't call a small group of they're a ragtag group of.
There we go. They're like the Sandlot.
They're a motley group of listeners
Sandlot.
too.
Yeah, I like it.
No, Douglas, welcome to the program. I can see how this one's gonna fucking go.
Sorry.
Last episode, I interviewed Dr. Andre Samuel.
Okay.
Who is a biologist, among many other things.
So a doctor of science, not medicine, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Great man. Worked on a couple vaccines. Did a lot of stuff. Very impressive guy. Gives back to the community. And I was able to keep fairly focused during that interview.
Okay.
For my listeners, I'll be honest.
Did you also...
About halfway through, the edibles hit.
That's what I was going to say. Did you also have the same mindset?
I'll be honest. About halfway through, the edibles hit. But he was an amazing guy. And if you haven't got the time to check that out, listen to him. Just the things he's doing for underprivileged youth. Starting at the ground floor with education. Not waiting until it's too late. You know, so I just want to shout out to him again. Dr. Andre Samuel.
Shout out Doc Sam.
Yeah, dope dude. I told him I think he has the makings of becoming a supervillain.
Supervillain?
And he said hero.
Did he dress like one?
No, but all his work.
Okay.
All his work in the lab, all his degrees, all his accolades, what he's been known to do, it just all adds up. He could be like Dr. Doom.
Yeah, he could secretly be pulling off some stuff.
Maybe he'll make a
underneath Pittsburgh somewhere.
He would surprise me if he came out as Doc Ock. We're getting really off topic. We're learning about Mr. Aaron Douglas today. Aaron, we said welcome to the program. Where'd you start? Where'd you come from?
Where did I start comedy, I guess?
No,
or where did I start
where
life?
Where did you come from?
I come from Iowa.
Okay.
So, Iowa's pretty fertile land, but it's got a lot more flat shit than you guys. And when I'm back home, I always tell them that this place is like if Frasier had 2.3 million people. But Frasier has like 112 people. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a little...
is Frasier a place?
Yes, Frasier's is the country town that the country kids would go from there, slightly smaller towns to like recreate. You could get away with a lot of shit there because it was so small and it was down by the river.
Like,
and that's why this place is like Frasier, because you can get away with a lot of shit because it's down by the river.
My dumbass was thinking of the TV show.
Oh, we used to watch that too.
Bro, that shit's in Seattle. What's he talking about?
No.
Okay, so you come from...
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I tell people back home that, here no one would get that. Here is just, it's pretty cool, I guess. But that's what I grew up in, was little one river valley that you had to follow. Otherwise, it was boring as shit. You know what I mean? It was just flat land. So we lived on the top of the river valley, right? And rurally, about 8 miles equal to the 2 neighboring towns. So if we lived on the other side of the street, we would have ended up going to the next school. You know what I mean? But anyway, we didn't. We lived on the wrong or right side, however you look at it. So we ended up going to Ogden, which is like the smaller of the towns. And then Ogden, which they called Hogden because we had a big hog plant.
There's a lot of insider baseball on this one.
You asked me where I come from. This is it.
You Ogden fuckers.
That's right, Ogden indeed. People are going to be like, oh yeah, I know that place. I know that place. Them Boone County boys will know what I'm talking about.
Oh boy. Did I just start a gang war?
That's why I was asking you what your posse was called, see if we can get the Boone County boys out there after.
We're just a bunch of guys behind a fat man with a dream.
Yes, that's it. That's it, man. I'm going to ride your coattails right to the top, baby.
Right on. When did you start moving around? Because I look at you as like a nomad almost.
I kind of am, but I didn't really get the balls to do it until I was like early 20s. You know, I went to high school for 5 years because I basically redshirted my freshman year of high school.
Oh boy.
The only classes I passed freshman year were PE and art. And then the rest of the time I actually did okay. I mean, I wasn't a good student, but my grades were good enough to mostly pass. But since I basically lost an entire year of education, I couldn't get it done in 4 years, so I had to go to 5 years.
Dr. Samuel, the way he spoke, and he gave an analogy to explain something scientific using Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is random out of nowhere, but how I would describe him as a very athletic Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
Just that's the supervillain makeup I would
Oh, okay, gotcha. I gotcha. Athletic Neil deGrasse. He's like
Yeah.
Neil deGrasse Captain America.
But he's like I told him on the show, he was very charming. Like, he wasn't like awkward science-y like you expect.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this guy can take over Manhattan.
Or Pittsburgh.
Or Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Hopefully he's a local guy, or is he passing through?
He lives here now. His origins are in D.C.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
That's his origin story. I can't wait till they make the movie.
Oh, he's got some other
What do you think
stuff.
happened in D.C.?
Oh, I'm not going to get into his background. He talks about it a little in the episode. I'm not going to spoil it too much for you guys.
I just wanted to know his kick-ass origin story, because all supervillains got one.
He's got one. He's got a little sadness in it, stuff like that.
Okay, he's in the Bane hole of Washington, D.C.
His wife didn't die in his arms or anything.
Nothing that sad.
Nothing that sad.
Nothing that would bring you down.
So you redshirted high school.
Yeah, basically. So then I ended up going to that. You know, I said if I lived on the other side of the road, I'd go to the other school. I went to that school for my second senior year.
Okay.
Yeah. One thing I do remember, though, is... So, obviously, you can just get a GED, right? But I didn't want to get a GED because I'd gone to high school for 4 years and earned credits.
I went to high school for 4 years and still got a GED.
I know, but I didn't want to. I was like, I did all this time. I might as well have the fucking piece of paper that represents.
You did a bid, huh?
That's right. I did a bid in Hogtown, bro. So anyway,
wow.
To get from Hogtown to Boone, what the hell did we call the Boone kids? I don't remember what we called those, but they were Toreadors was their school. Anyway, the point being is to go to Boone, I had to petition every member of the city council, or the school council, because they have to take the government money that they're allotted to school me and transfer it to another school. You know what I mean? Okay. So I had to call them all up and be like, "Hey, remember me when from being a jerk and stuff? Like, you want to help me out with this?" But they all did, and that was nice. And I went in to turn in the papers to the secretary in the office, and she said that. She goes, "Why don't you just get a GED?" That's what she said to the secretary of the fucking high school. Says, and I was in high school still, and because it was 5-year plan, and I met a bunch of new people. So that was an interesting experience in itself, because I grew up in a town with 65 kids in the class. So you knew everybody in the class above you for 2 classes probably, and same underneath you, 2 more classes.
Okay.
And you knew their fucking names, you know. Most of them, you knew where their house was, that kind of shit, you know what I mean?
Small town politics.
Small town shit. But then I moved to the adjacent town. It's gotta be at least 4 times that. No, it's probably more than that. It's probably 6 to 7 times bigger. You know what I mean? And now I'm the new kid, which is a unique experience. At least you have that outlook or whatever. So that was really, you were asking me if I was a nomad. That was kind of my first nomadic gig, you know what I mean? I went from being where everyone knows your name, cheers, to fucking,
back to Frasier.
Right, over to Frasier or Sunny in Philadelphia, whichever you like.
So you didn't get the balls until you were in your early 20s, you said?
Yeah, I graduated from high school in Boone and kept working in that town. And
what'd you do?
I was, I did a couple things. One of the funnest jobs I ever had was a lawnmower delivery guy. I worked in the lawnmower shop, keeping shit kind of organized, but mostly delivering shit. You know what I mean? Which was fun. Had a lot of downtime. I'd smoke weed while I was like driving the truck around out on doing gravel travel is what we called it. In Iowa, and I'm sure you've seen movies, like you can be on a road and see 4 miles. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm out there on gravel travel. I know there's nothing for 8 miles around me as a diameter. It was an interesting job. That was fun. And then I remember one time, that was an interesting job. It was an elderly man started the business. Obviously was kicking ass, making this business good, right? His son takes over. Not so much as good, right? And then his son is there right now apprenticing to take over, and he's even worse, right? Oh. And then he's got his son from his second marriage who's like a child, and that thing's just running around Hell's Angels style through this tire shop / lawnmower shop, right? And since the guy owned the place, he basically used me like a babysitter. Like he would say, go on deliveries with Aaron, and he would be like, thank God my kid's not running around like. But now I'm stuck in the cab of a truck with a little varmint, you know what I mean? And then, as I do, I drive gravel travel, and I fly, dude. I grew up driving. 12 years old, that's when we started driving it by ourselves, like back and forth to each other's houses on the gravel roads, you know? And we were not easy on those cars. We were figuring out what they could do, you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm driving this truck, and it's got a trailer on the back with big lawnmowers in it. And my favorite thing to do on it is to put it into a 6-point slide, you know, because you got 3 axles or whatever, and you get some big curves down in the river valley. I was driving with a kid though, so I was being safe. I was only going like 50 miles an hour around the corner instead of like 65, 70, you know what I mean? But then another car comes around the corner, and that's no good. You know, I gotta take the ditch. So I do. I hop her down in the ditch. I get that 6-point slide experience and use it to pop that son of a bitch back onto the road. You know what I mean? But the whole time, this little narc is sitting next to me, and I'm like, "You motherfucker, dude! I know you're gonna tell your dad that I did this." And I was like, I made an agreement with the kid. You don't narc me out or whatever. And he's like, yeah. I was like, that was cool though, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, you don't want us to get in trouble for doing cool stuff. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah. So then first thing he does, we get back to the shop. Dad, this cool thing. You know what I mean? He tells his dad the cool story. I was like, Dad, you missed the crucial part of the agreement, kid. Yes, we think it's cool. No, we don't tell Dad.
Good thing you didn't molest him.
That's right. I don't think so anyway. I could. That job though, I got fired from. That was one of the only jobs I got fired from, and it was more laid off because, like I said, the business just kept getting worse and worse.
So what got it in you to set off, and where'd you go?
Well, I was working in this furniture supply warehouse, delivering and organizing, and blah blah blah, and I got a girlfriend through a friend's girlfriend, you know what I mean? And she was much smarter than me and headed to college, you know what I mean? So she went to Nebraska, and that was the first thing that got me to like get the fuck out of Iowa. Which I'm not trying to decry Iowa, by the way. I love Iowa. Anytime I'm back in Boone County, I feel like I should just be potting soil and filling a coffin. You know what I mean?
No. I don't know what you
That's
mean.
what vampires got to do to rejuvenate
Oh my lord!
To rejuvenate, bro. They got to be on their homes still.
Oh my.
That's why people get buried where they were born and stuff.
So how
like
was
that.
Nebraska?
Nebraska was interesting. I started off in Lincoln, which is where the University of Nebraska is, the Cornhuskers, which is a big-time football thing. So, boom, the town's blowing up for sports, which is beneficial for, God, I think I might have been 23, maybe. You know what I mean? And I move into this apartment. I see it. It's like you were saying about this place, a good deal. I see it, I know it. You know what I mean? And I get on with the landlord, and he says, "Who's your roommate going to be?" And I said, I didn't know who my roommate's going to be. You're gonna get a roommate for me, right? Because I can't afford this thing all by myself. And he just like agreed to that for some fucking reason. So he went and found a second person to fill out the apartment with me, and that guy's name is Jerry. At least that's what he thought. Turns out the guy's name is actually Jeremy. He's never been called Jerry in his whole life, but after that, I always called him Jerry. So me and Jerry lived together in College Town in Nebraska. And it was like College Party Part 2 for me, because I did from 19 to 22 in Ames, Iowa, which is also a college town. You know what I mean? And then I moved like a dipshit and kept wasting time. But that was Lincoln. It was fun. It was flat, like I say, so you could ride bicycles like all over the place.
Okay.
And they had pretty good theaters, and acts and stuff would stop either there or Omaha because of the I-80 corridor.
You said Axe? Axe would stop there?
ACTS, ACTS. So like
Like Broadway productions?
all kinds of stuff, like
Okay.
everything. Anything you can put on a trailer and drive from city to city would stop in at least Lincoln or Omaha.
Were you ever in any of these towns that are like flavor testing towns? Where they'll put out the weird new...
I don't know. I think I would have just thought it was new. What town? What was your snack? I can tell this is
No,
eating away at you, if you will.
That was just a random question.
No, but I have.
Just so goddamn nonchalant about it.
But I have been to. I mean, I have lived in towns that are the origins of stuff you might know. But the one you don't know probably for sure, but people should recognize this solid business strategy of a guy who started a gas station called Casey's in Boone, Iowa. Was the first Casey's, right? Along with the local grocery store Fairway, which was also statewide by the time I moved.
Okay.
But their whole business model was to sell really good, pretty big slices of pizza for like $1, like $1.10, you know what I mean? So that every morning, every guy who drove a grain truck, a furniture delivery thing, whatever he was, who was a blue collar guy, they all stopped for breakfast at Casey's because it's a small town world, you know what I mean? You gotta drive 8 miles to get to the next town, and there's probably only one gas station, and you're hoping it's a good one, you know what I mean? So then this Casey's place blows the fuck up. That's from my hometown. Good business strategy. It's probably both, you know, I know for sure. It's funny because when I moved to Lincoln, I got to see Casey's buy out a gas station chain called Kogo's in Lincoln.
Yeah, fuck you, Kogo.
So it's like Casey's was chasing my ass all the way to Lincoln. They started in my town. I don't know.
How long did you stay in Lincoln?
They got over 100 stores. No big deal. Try their breakfast pizza. If you're ever driving through Iowa, that's the most Iowa shit you can do. Casey's breakfast pizza. All right, moving on.
How long did you stay in Nebraska?
Fuck. I was in Nebraska in Lincoln, probably 5.5 to 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I broke up with the first chick, kept living there.
Okay.
Met the girl that I'm with to this day there, because she moved in.
Oh, really? You met her there?
Yeah, she moved into
Shout out to
the same building that I lived in.
Shout out to her. I won't say her name.
Yeah.
How she feels.
Well, she's.
She doesn't want the publicity. Here's a funny story. So Trevor Austin, our mutual friend and also comic, told me she was a brain doctor.
I thought you said she said it was a brain surgeon.
No, he said a brain doctor.
Either way, yeah.
So for the longest time, I had assumed she was a brain surgeon, and it might have been like a little bit racist to assume that, if we're being honest.
Why? She's not. What? Never mind.
She's Asian.
I was going to say a man. That was my. See, I was trying to get you back there and make my own joke.
I automatically gave her mad props. I was like, okay, she's a brain surgeon.
Right.
And you just told me recently she is a what?
Psychiatrist.
Trevor wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong.
He wasn't wrong.
Wasn't wrong. Brain doctor.
Assumptions. I feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, she's slicing shit out of people's heads. That's wild. She's so calm around the house.
She's done some science where she cuts rat brains. So I mean, not people brains. Well, never mind. We won't get too far into it. But the point is she is a very busy and talented woman, and she puts up with me, man.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to her. Anyway.
But you met her down there. I did not know that.
I met her in Lincoln at the time. Like I said, she just moved into the same building I did. I had started going to welding school there in Lincoln. So
it's a very Aaron Douglas thing to do.
Well, here's what happened is I was like, God damn it, I've been in construction like stuff, because I've been in construction basically since I was 16. You know what I mean? And before that, it was farm labor and shit that I would be out doing. But either way,
I dig it.
Right. Either way, so then I'm in Lincoln, and I was like, maybe I should get out of all this construction bullshit. They've got a big college, but they also have a really good community college that people use to get into the good college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I never planned on getting into the good college.
You gotta sleep with the ugly friend to get with the pretty friend.
Exactly. So I went to, what do they call that? JUCO. junior college.
Oh, I thought that
I
was
know.
a weird sex thing. I was like, what the fuck?
So I go there and I'm like, I'm going to learn computer programming, right? So I go in and I start doing computer programming, and I'm capable of doing it. Basically, I got to the point where I could write what they call a batch file. This is just like something you double click on and it does a bunch of shit and then stops, hopefully. You know what I mean? It's theoretically, like, we could figure out one to clean up our tracks on our stuff like that. The point being is I got that far
I
and
don't
then
have any tracks that need cleaned up. But we'll go.
Right, yeah, your audio is clean as shit.
Oh, see, I thought, excuse me, folks.
You thought you were talking about crimes?
I thought he was cleaning up my tracks like we had something on the computer that wasn't supposed to be there.
No. Well, that would be funny too. It's funny that you immediately thought, well, if I could write a file like that, I would use it to cover my tracks.
That's what I thought you were saying.
Yeah, I know. That's funny. I like that.
Second time. Let's see if it happens again.
Yeah, but anyway, so I'm there in fucking that, and I hate it, and I'm in first quarter of it, and my girlfriend.
You immediately shit on my audio too. I was like, I don't need to cover it. You're like, hey, your audio is great. Wow.
If I don't give you a hard time, who will?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did Doc Sam give you a hard time? No.
Doc Sam was nothing but pleasant.
That's what I'm saying. Now the scales have to.
He was a sweetheart of a man.
The scales have to balance now. See what I'm saying?
They're balanced.
That's right.
Lady threw up in my car the other night.
And
the scales are balanced.
Oh, that's the karma?
Yeah.
You had that much good luck and then a lady threw up in your car?
Oh, did she throw up?
Why'd you have a lady in your car? You can't say stuff like that.
Driver.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes it.
She just threw up. You think I just have ranch?
You only do Lyft?
Yeah.
Okay.
People are like, "Do you do Lyft today?" I just do.
Couldn't you? But there's like fucking Uber food and all that
yeah,
other
there's
bullshit.
all types of lazy eats and lay down grabs and agoraphobic,
How late are restaurants open in this here town?
I don't fucking know anything. I don't know shit about fuck, bro. Sheets.
I can't believe that you haven't ordered a pizza at 11:30.
Bro, I rarely order pizza. I actually
I had y'all wrong.
ate a pizza the other day. I did eat a pizza the other day. You know what I did? Ordered it and picked it up.
I'm the same way, dude. I'm
not fucking around.
I'm the kind. No, I'm serious. Like, it's something I learned from my my mom's dad. I don't know if it's just in my DNA or what, but he would drive around town on Saturday and his day off. You know what I mean? Sunday is for family and all that bullshit. But he'd drive around town and he would pay all his bills and check in at all the local stores where he liked their products. He wasn't even necessarily ready to buy some shit. He just wanted to be there.
Hey, Earl.
Yeah, he was that guy.
How's your mufflers doing?
That's
Earl?
right. And he was a railroader, so he made decent money, and he would buy a new truck every year, and always just every 2 years he would always trade a 2-year-old truck for a new
lease
truck.
it up.
Yeah, so similar, but
My grandfather did that every year, every 2 years he'd get a new truck.
Yeah, and so when you drove up to these places like the lawnmower shop or the gun store or the 4-wheel drive place, people walked out, saw you had a brand new truck.
The alternator stand.
Exactly. Those people were like, this guy knows his shit, we're going to talk to Don. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look at his fancy truck. He knows some shit.
But that's how I am. I'm old school. I get up and I drive places, just like you and your pizza.
Yeah, man. Fuck that. You're not going to fuck up my order, then I got to wait another hour and a half for you to bring my 2-liter back?
Exactly, dude.
Get the fuck out of here. You forgot ranch cups? Now I'm just gonna have ranch. No, because now I'm just gonna have ranch cups in the fridge after you bring it 3 hours later.
Yeah.
And I done fucked up the pizza already. They're just gonna be.
You said you don't order pizza.
That's what I'm saying.
Now what? Now you're saying you do order pizza?
I'm not having that mistake.
Oh, okay.
That's why I go to the store and pick it up.
But you told me you didn't order pizza. Oh, you don't order it in, right? But you do order pizza.
I rarely order.
See, I got you wrong. Like when you got Cindy's brain doctor thing wrong.
I mean.
Same.
Same. We'll go with that. What made you leave Nebraska?
Well, I stuck around Nebraska for a while. I got into welding school, like I said, because I just went in there one time to see.
Oh, that's right.
I would just because my girlfriend's muffler had a hole in it, and I was like, maybe the school's welding shop will just weld it. What harm is there from asking? So I walked in, and
you have a good point. What harm?
Right. So I went in there, and they all made fun of me and stuff like that in a way that I enjoyed. Like, you know what I mean? Like standing around in the garage type of making fun of people. You know?
See, I've worked many laborious blue-collar jobs. Mm-hmm. I understand that. It's almost like a term of endearment. But if some of the current culture witnessed that, they would be horrifying.
Yeah.
Because men very jokingly and lovingly say the most horrific shit to each other.
And we had probably 3 girls that actually made it through the graduation process, probably 6 the first day. But those girls were tough broads. If I can use that word, I hope we don't have to bleep it.
I think we can use the word broad.
Hey, I grew up
and
watching.
if we can use it in a positive manner.
Like Grace Under Fire.
I
Seen
think
that show?
all you broads are strong.
Yeah, like that. Now it's okay.
I don't know.
No, but the whole point was this: I went into the welding shop.
You can't cancel someone who self-produces. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the beauty of this. That's the beauty. I don't know how it's going to get consumed by some sort of large business, but it definitely will somehow. There's too much money being made by individuals. People don't like that.
Not by me.
Well, it doesn't matter. Somebody is though, right? You know what I mean?
I'm still looking for somebody to sponsor my grill.
Oh, you're going
$30,000 diamond grill.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
just a regular
Invisalign.
Invisalign. Right? We are way past Invisalign at this point.
Dude, you can get those things lined up like goalposts.
Yeah, the couple that are there.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, God. You're a welder. They're laughing at you. They're fucking with you.
Well, yeah, and I was like, well, fuck, man, I hate computer science, and these guys are having a blast. Imagine if I could come to school and, like, basically have pissing contests with people on welding, you know, oh, look how good mine is, look how good yours is, and we're going to get out of here, we're actually going to make money, you know, that was the whole idea. So I did that, and then I figured I would go to Colorado, because I heard there was welding money out there, but at the time...
You are a very old-fashioned man. It's rather charming, and you don't mean to be, it's just who you are.
I'm a trad male, baby.
I heard there was welding money out
there. That's the truth, though, man. You go to school and they're like these pipeliners get their own rig, and you'd see them all over Weld County, which is where I moved to in Colorado.
I picked up my dog and my belongings.
Yeah.
And traveled up north. I don't know. Is that north?
Where, to Colorado?
Yeah.
It's directly across. So
we traveled west.
Right.
We'll edit the north out.
Yeah, west by north. No, anyway.
North by northwest.
But
don't say it too much, Aaron. We'll start telling you what fucking highways he took.
I-80. It's that I-80 corridor, baby. You know it. Straight from Denver. Next stop, Omaha. Let's hit up Des Moines, and then it's a decision. We going Kansas City? We going Chicago? I don't know. You got to take I-35 because I-35 will get you there, north or south. I'm talking South Padre Island to Minneapolis. You know.
I did this. It's my fault.
It ain't my fault.
Oh God.
No, but that's what the reason I say all of that is that I met my girl that I have now while, like I said, while I was in Nebraska. At the time, she was in her training for
brain doctor shit.
Right? And I had the plan to move to Colorado before I met her. And at the time, I was actually working for UPS, and I graduated. I was going to welding school, working at UPS before welding school, going from welding school to framing houses, and then I would get off framing houses and come home. And I think that's why Cindy liked me, because I was hardworking. You know what I mean?
Nice. I like it.
I
like the hustle.
So then I retire from them jobs and I head out west because I said, look, we've been dating for a month, but I've had this plan. I got to try it.
There's welding money.
In them hills. Exactly. Right? So then I've got a friend who already lives in Colorado, and at the time, it's right at the edge of legalized marijuana. You know what I mean?
With a bead like mine, my pockets will be stuffed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think your old miner got dangerously close to Bane for a moment.
Everybody says that. I think that's just the tone my voice goes to.
I think I'd never realized it before, but they are close. I think maybe I don't know who the voice actor was for Bane.
What in darnation? Tom Hardy.
I bet that's what he did. I bet he patterned it a little bit off of old miner talk.
I don't know if he did that at all. Wow, we're off topic. So Colorado, how's that work out for you?
Well, I moved out there, like I said, because I have a buddy. I've known this guy for going on 7 years or more, and he lives in Colorado, and it's right at the beginning of legal marijuana in Colorado. Like the year after it was legalized is when I moved there. I don't know what year that was. So he was growing weed out there, and he's like, I can get you a job growing weed. There's fucking weed growing jobs everywhere.
Sign me up.
Yeah, so I was like, great. I came out, and that's what I did. I grew hydroponic weed for, I don't know, at least a year and 2 months, something like that.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was probably one of the, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was some stress involved with it because, like, the people who, believe it or not, people who grow weed aren't always the most organized. You know, they don't run the tightest business. You know what I mean?
Go figure.
Yeah. So, so like some days you're like at work and you're like, you said we needed to trim today, and he goes, yeah, but it's storming and steamboat, so like we're gonna trim tomorrow, man. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, but that was what was also good about it. You know, like for one, I was up there for 3 seasons, 3 winters total, and for the first season when I was working that job. I chased storms and snowboarded all winter because I grew up skateboarding. I was a skateboarder.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I skateboarded probably 15 years, maybe. Yeah, probably about.
I couldn't even balance.
No, how old are you? Yeah. So you're 15, your freshman year, and I started 7th grade, maybe 13. I probably skated for 12 years at least.
Okay.
The point being is I was into board sports, and I'd gone to Colorado on vacation all my childhood to ski and snowboard, mostly snowboard. Nowadays, I actually enjoy skiing more. That's just, if anybody who's looking to get into it, tidbit, just do skiing. Unless you're going to make a whole life out of it, just do skiing. Anyway, that being said, it was a great fucking winter, dude. We literally chased storms. We went to Wolf Creek, went to Monarch, went to Steamboat, Copper, Winter Park, Keystone, A Basin, maybe another one. You know what I mean? We were all over the fucking place. And, that was really, really cool. The year after that, I finally got a welding job, and I really didn't like the weed job, to be honest with you. My boss he was all right, but he wasn't my cup of tea. Okay. So I got out of that, and my welding job ended up being just as shitty, dude. I was saying to you earlier, I've had some interesting landlords. I remember I was down by Boulder, so. Boulder's a really cool town, actually. I mean, it's super liberal town. So if you can't keep your mouth shut, and you have some non-super liberal opinions, learn to do so while you're in Boulder. But other than that, it's cool town.
Joey Diaz speaks highly of Boulder.
Yeah. But he was back there in the '80s too, where cocaine was running the ship. I mean, that's how the world worked in Colorado back then. Like Aspen and Boulder and Denver, and I mean they were just. Anyway, snowstorms. That's what people say anyway. And even some of that lays over till today. I've never been into that shit. I've never been into uppers. I smoked way too much weed when I was out there. That's what I was like, no thanks, because, yeah, never mind.
Aaron Douglas, Mr. Tangent himself.
Well, yeah. That was the first time I ever smoked marijuana concentrate, or dabs as we call them.
Okay.
And at the time, the idea was so new, dabs itself, that people were exploring how you smoked it, right? So there's this head shop up in Fort Collins, or FOCO as the locals call it, and it's called Kind Creations. And they have a patent on what they call a health stone. And they put it in both bong stems and in handheld pipes. But essentially, if you just get a little torch lighter, like a gas station torch lighter, you can smoke dabs like while you're running. You know what I mean? Like the thing works. And I'd never seen it before, and they'd never really dealt with it. Everyone's figuring it out. They would just take bongs and put like a quarter or a nickel-sized piece of concentrate on it, and just off the top of regular weed grass. You know what I mean? To like keep it from passing through and stuff. And then we had these Kind Creation pipes, and that set me on my ass, man.
Yeah, you don't say.
I'd never smoked that before, and I had a 6-pack of beer with me, like bottles and a little holder bob. That's nothing for me for a tour for the evening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then everybody's taking these dabs. These guys have lived there for a year already. They've been getting waxed. You know what I mean? Oh, come try it out, Doug. You know, I'd do it. I go sit on the fucking couch, and I feel like
now you knew it was supposed to be stronger.
Oh, I knew it. They were just the way everyone talked about it. They said it's like the liquor of marijuana. So like if marijuana was beer, this is like Everclear.
Man, I am just a hard marijuana alcoholic then.
Because Everclear's nothing.
Well, it's just you see no flower anywhere here.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There was a whole period of my life where I smoked dabs, but I don't. I don't need to do it right before a podcast. You know what I mean? But the point being this.
Wow, I feel called out.
No, that's what I'm saying is when I was in Colorado, I smoked way too much weed. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you hit
like,
that and it put you on your ass, you said.
Yeah.
So tell me about that experience.
Well, that in itself was a lesson because I sat down on the sofa and I felt like I drank a keg of Old Milwaukee. You know what I mean? Like I could not move. I was melted into thing. My head was spinning and my brain hurt a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I don't. And I'd had 2 beers and I was like, this is not. And it was I don't know, man. Dabs is what you guys call. What do you call them? Dabs? Wax dabs. Yeah, all that jazz. Anyway, the point is that's some strong stuff. And then we had like. There's on 420. There's like a big competition in Denver, and like High Times magazine comes. So,
oh, really?
And like, it's a festival. It's the 420 festival, and it's. I'm just saying, like I've had my fill. You know, it's like when you drink too much rum as a 17-year-old, and you're like not drinking rum anymore.
I actually have a little bottle of rum right there.
It's not bad. I can get back in my old age. I can. Start getting back into some of those things that I really ruined in my first set of party days.
That was given to me by a man in the cab who I think was flirting with me on my birthday. He bought me that bottle of rum.
Wow.
And I haven't drunk any of it, but you see some's gone. My buddy who you met earlier drank some.
E-Man, we'll call him.
And a hardened military veteran, as we'll call him. A couple hardened military veterans drank some of that.
That's a lot of the guys I went to. Iowa, and Pennsylvania's the same way. Always puts up a lot of soldiers. When there's a war, they're like, oh, we're going to get on the scoreboard for sure.
Still a lot of us are rural, corn-fed boys. I'm going to beat, whoever it is.
Yeah. Well, around here, for any of your listeners outside of Pittsburgh, like every town has like flags on their telephone poles with pictures of people who died in all the wars. Like every fucking town has all their veterans posted up, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, we're veteran heavy around here.
Yeah.
I support the troops.
And the VFW shows around here are supposed to be off the chain. Speaking of comedy,
I've never been booked as any.
Me neither. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
If you're listening in the Beaver County area, we're at TVJ's in Aliquippa, September 24th. So check that out. Oh, and this is irrelevant, but I just got word that I got a gig in Michigan later next month.
Nice.
Not Michigan. Michigan, but Massachusetts.
God, I'm feeling like a dick 'cause I can't remember the name of the joint. August 20th, though. Look for Aaron Douglas on social media, there, and you'll find me.
Promo yourself.
That's me, Aaron Douglas.
That's it?
_Aaron Douglas.
Don't you have a podcast?
Oh yeah, regular episodes for sure. Listen to regular episodes. Best podcast in Pittsburgh.
It's all right. I'm international.
That's right, buddy. That's right. We're keeping it local.
Give us a brief synopsis. Regular episodes.
Regular episodes is an attempt at a much looser version of morning radio. Morning radio has a panel. That's what the radio term is a panel. So we got 4 people basically every episode. And it's up to the guest usually what we talk about. A lot of them drag me into the mud, and that's fine. And I mean, it's not the first time I've been there. Regular episodes, you won't know what's going to happen next, you know?
Okay, that's fair. And real quick, time to pay some bills.
Salutation Shades, and welcome back to your one-stop shop for all things strange and unusual, Talking with Shadows, the conversation everyone has, but no one wants to admit to. Here with your host, Vic Whaley.
And Marcus D. Now come along with us as we explore the most obscure things our universe has to offer. We specialize in helping people make sense of the most bizarre phenomenon you'll ever come across. You'll get all the great topics such as UFOs, cryptids, and psychic phenomenon, but also some stories that are so spectacular they scare people to believe that they're true. Now take a seat and welcome to the One Candle Society. But always remember, keep believing.
'Cause we'll keep listening.
And we're back. Alright, so Douglas, you're out there, your welding sucks.
Oh, my welding was off the hook, dude. Our boss was a total doucher. So there was probably 14 guys in the shop, and we're welding handrails and other such things for like apartment complexes. You know what I mean? And he owned a local bar or was part owner of a local bar and this welding shop, which I drove by that welding shop since. I think it's out of business, which is awesome. But like I said, there's 14 of us working there, and in the time that I worked there, which was only like 6 months, there was 150% turnover. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there were 4 guys that were still there, but everybody else had been chewed at, yelled at, fired, and kicked the fuck out. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was because there was always mistakes, and the reason there were mistakes is because the guy never put together a welding procedure for anything, which is what you're supposed to have. If you want things to turn out the same way, you have to write down a procedure and then teach people those steps so that they always do them the same way. You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
Yeah, so you got 6 tables pumping out handrails for the same building. One table's building them just a little bit different than the next guy. You know what I mean? At 5 yards, you couldn't tell the difference, but break out your measuring tape and you got fucking trouble. You know what I mean? Yeah. So either way, this shop fucking blows dick. I'm still snowboarding. At the time, I still have my Husqvarna TE610, one of the coolest motorcycles ever fucking made. And a reason enough to move to Colorado. If you've got a Husqvarna TE610, Colorado's the place to be.
I'll take your word for it.
I rode that motorcycle all the fucking time. That's what I did when I wasn't snowboarding, because it was summertime. You know what I mean? Not mountain biking, actually. I bought a really nice mountain bike, and the guy that I'd moved down there who told me to get a job, he had a really nice mountain bike, and we'd go out to like Granby Ranch, which is like probably the 3rd best place to mountain bike in North America. It was a fun experience. And we went to Winter Park, which is probably the 2nd best place in North America. But when we went to Winter Park, we would rent bikes because it was so fucking serious. You know what I mean? Like, I had a bike I paid $550 for used, and it was a $3,000 bike new back in 2006. The bikes, like my buddy had one that was a $4,000 bike, and then we would go to Winter Park and we would rent like, $6,000-$7,000 bicycles. You know what I mean? They have full-fledged like motorcycle suspension on the front, almost just badass stuff. And Winter Park, buddy, that is something fierce, dude. those runs, man. It's all gravity too, which is great because mountain biking usually you gotta crawl uphill.
Yeah.
This is a ski resort, so you just put them on the chair. It's fucking amazing, dude. Anyway. That was what I did, man. That's what I'm saying. I did 3 seasons out there. That was the reason I was there, man. I was always crazy for outdoor shit, and I was like, I need to be out here doing outdoor shit. And then in the summer, I'd ride that motorcycle through all the old mining roads and stuff like that. I got lost one time trying to make it from Boulder to Keystone without using like normal roads as little as possible. I got lost and I got double bagged, and I thought that the sun was going to go down. And if the sun goes down, man, you really got trouble, because now you don't really recognize anything anymore after the sun goes down. If you saw it at 5 o'clock, the sun's almost down actually. No, 5 o'clock because it's summertime. If you saw it at 5 o'clock in the daylight, you don't recognize it after the sun goes down. Either way, so I was up there on top of this mountain ridge trying to find my way out so I could get back to Keystone, because Sid and my girl was visiting. She was so great. I moved out there and she was so great. She visited me like every month, and I was like, why is this girl? I mean, don't get me wrong, I was happy as hell about it because I loved her too, but I was like, I can't believe that she's doing this shit for me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, and every month she'd come out. So I'm riding to see her, and I get lost on top of the mountains. The sun's almost getting down, and animals get movie around you, when the sun goes down. Also, people get hit by fucking lightning. That is a big thing on the mountains, dude. If you're out around dusk, keep your head down or be in the trees. You know what I mean? Because people do get hit by lightning. And the time I was there, 2 people got attacked by bears and 3 people got struck by lightning.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. So that was only in 3 seasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw a moose, essentially.
Oh.
I don't know if you ever seen a full bull moose with no fence between you and it.
They're fucking massive.
It was intimidating as hell. Now, I've been around some big animals in my day, growing up in Iowa, you know what I mean? So yes, I was afraid, but I knew I was also on a kick-ass motorcycle, and and I knew that I should just be calm, because animals
Moose go like 40 miles an hour.
Can what?
Can't moose go like 40
I bet
miles
their
an
legs are probably 6 feet tall to the shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. It
Yeah,
was amazing, and I think there was a what do they call the females? A cow. I think there's a cow just inside the tree line, and he came out like he was like showing off, putting his head in the fucking air. And he's probably 40 yards away from me.
I imagine it looked majestic though.
It did. It was cool as shit. And I looked at it for probably a 5 count, and then I was like, I better put this thing in here and get the fuck out of here. It's not moose playtime. I can appreciate this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a mental picture.
When you left,
Actually, I had a GoPro running. So,
oh really? That's cool.
So you can see it.
When you left, did it follow it all? Anything?
No, it turned and went back to the tree line because, I mean, a dirt bike hits into gear and takes off fast. I mean, it makes some noise, and I don't know if he knows what that is.
You weren't the other moose though.
No, and then I had to circle back and come back through that
Good Lord,
that because I couldn't find my way through. But that was I mean, I had a blast.
Moose
out
gets up, puts on his pants like I told this motherfucker keep the noise down in this neighborhood.
And that's when I first got into podcasts too. When I was out there in Colorado, I heard about the. No, I take it back. I started listening to the Adam Carolla podcast while I was in Lincoln.
Okay.
And through that, I found out about the Joe Rogan podcast because basically at the time that was the 2 podcasts that were comedy. There might have been. I mean, there was almost nothing other than those 2 podcasts at the very beginning of podcasting. So I learned about this Joe Rogan podcast. I started listening to that, and that's what got me into podcasting.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, exactly. So what was I talking about? Oh, podcast, Colorado, mooses, and just had a good time. I'm glad I went out there, but Cindy kept visiting, as I said. So eventually.
So where'd you go from there?
Well, I lived in a town called Longmont, which is next to Boulder. But before that, I lived in a town called Greeley, which was adjacent in Weld County out.
I meant
past
like what state? What state you move on to from there?
Oh, from Colorado back to Nebraska.
Oh, back to Nebraska.
Because Cindy had kept visiting me, and I was like, this girl's pretty kick-ass, you know what I mean? I'd be foolish not to go back and see if this works out.
Yeah.
God willing, it will. But, so I moved back to Nebraska, and I know for a fact that I lived with Cindy for a couple months is all, in Lincoln. And then we moved together to Omaha for her to finish her training. So I got to try out yet another city. So at this time I lived in small town Ogden, small city, Boone, then moved into medium city, Lincoln, then Boulder and stuff was just interesting. Those were all small town-ish, but I mean, it's different. Boulder you can see like, Mercedes everywhere. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have that small town feel, but it's still really cool, man. And we'd go up to the Nederland. If you're ever in Boulder, go up the valley, Boulder Valley. 14 miles is all it is. It's a beautiful, beautiful drive, and then you're in the Ned, which is Nederland, and Nederland is great. It's just art and food and a big reservoir and colorful buildings. It's great.
Okay.
Yeah, we might move back to that area. We liked it so much. So, but I moved to Omaha, so that's it's not the biggest city, but it's bigger still. So I'm gradually getting bigger and bigger as I go.
So, what's next after Omaha?
After Omaha is Pittsburgh.
Okay, what brought you to Pittsburgh?
Cindy's training.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's fair. Now, along this journey, when did you start comedy?
Omaha, 6 months before I moved here.
Okay.
I did.
Do we have a time frame between when that was and now?
2017. January 2017 was when I started comedy in Omaha. I had always wanted to get into comedy, not just because I thought that I could come up with some clever jokes. Which I have some clever jokes, I'm not going to lie, but
bringing back the road trip.
Exactly, that was a great one.
Like
it had a short fuse. It was only good for a couple months, but man, it was a blast.
I don't know. You can use it again and just change the state up. Stuff going on in Texas.
Oh, is there?
There's some stuff going on back in Georgia. I thought there was more stuff.
I didn't know that. It's not making headlines. Either that or I'm not paying attention. Hopefully it's the second one.
I'm real big into women's reproductive rights.
I'm not paying attention on purpose. I did. So
her body, her choice.
Other than let's say that about the vaccine. Anyway,
I
no, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say, I
isn't that
didn't say that.
isn't that a conflicting issue within that mindset?
I'm just
that
saying-
being said,
I'm just saying,
not everyone's guilty of that.
This is the way I'll say it. I do have my vaccines, and I've never had an abortion.
The man's Wait, no, it was your choice though. See, and that's fair.
I mean,
That's
I
what
would
we want.
never-
You're
I would-
consistent. That's what we want.
You know, I can't make the decision because I, don't have those parts, so I stay out of it.
I've never had one yet. I hope to have an abortion someday so that I also too can be a good person.
And that's how Douglas loses his job.
I'm gonna be. Never mind.
He's going to be the new cast member, and 3 days later, they're going to be like, he's out of there.
This guy?
This guy.
This guy right here?
They're going to dig
Did you hear what he said on Inquisitive Minds? And then
my listens will finally go up.
yeah.
Hey-o.
Hey-o.
I'd put up a Patreon and ask for donations, but I could just instant message all the listeners.
Well, you got to just put your Venmo in the description.
Yeah.
See if people will send you some cash. bro.
Guys, I'm poor.
I should try
I
that.
don't even try that. What I say
I just
is,
do that.
somebody buy a shirt.
Yeah.
Buy some merch. Buy a shirt.
Buy some merch, listeners.
Look,
You heard this son of a bitch.
Help support the program.
I've got an Inquisitive Minds mask
Boom.
because I'm a good, obedient individual.
and
I listen to Johnny and the government.
And I'm forgetful when I use the restroom at Douglas's house.
That could have contributed.
Yeah. So you said, outside of the creative material, what else was your driving factor?
The people that I'd listened to on podcasts were able to speak freely, and I wanted to be able to have those conversations because that was slowly disappearing as far as I could observe.
Some say stand-up comedy is the last bastion of free speech.
Well, they've always said that, and it's who knows if it's any worse or not worse right now. The whole, you know what I mean? Because like people were getting jailed is always a good argument, about how it actually used to be probably worse when Lenny Bruce was doing it and stuff like that. But regardless, those conversations both then and now are happening amongst these type of people who are willing to be and sometimes wantingly offensive. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be able to have those conversations. I'm not going to lie, because someone's being honest when they're putting a little bit of their reputation on the line just to say. They might honestly just trying to be funny. They're not.
I get it.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
people want to take a swing and miss, that happens.
Yep, it does.
It does. And that's why open mics are there. You can try stuff, see what works.
Yeah.
Also, though, my thought is I never hear comedians that are actually successful really complaining about cancel culture.
I don't know. I mean, they mention it in their podcast, but I don't know how much they're complaining about it.
Because
They
it's
definitely
like
mention it.
they're skilled enough to actually be able to write something that can convey the offensive message, but be entertaining.
I guess if you want to say that only the top 10 people count, then maybe that's true. But and even then, they do get in trouble. Bill Burr kind of got in trouble. I mean, I don't really consider any of this stuff real trouble. It's people saying stuff.
Yeah,
doing stuff is what's important.
That's the thing.
If you do something to stand in somebody's way, then you're actually.
Yeah, everybody's just saying stuff.
Well, sometimes they say enough to get somebody in trouble, and it's not always because the person committed a crime, and that's where I get off the boat.
I mean, I get that too. And I'm a big proponent of people can change. You know what I mean? I'm living my whole life on that, essentially.
I just don't think we should have thought crimes.
Yeah.
Thought crimes that aren't written on paper and enforceable by law.
We're getting into a wild.
Well, I didn't. Yeah. Oh, there was a saying. I can't remember how it goes. Oh, there's this viral video. I'm trying to reference it, and this is not the choice. Anyway, I was in Omaha, and I was moving.
Guys, their freedom. You heard their freedom.
Yes, I heard, and that's why. And I listened to all these podcasts, and I said, well, I would like to be able to still have those conversations, because when I was younger, just like most people are when they're younger, I was just more aggressive. I mean, I wasn't hurting anybody on purpose. Generally speaking, I always felt like I was bullying the bully, but the older I got, the more I realized the hypocrisy of that. So, but regardless, I'd been in plenty of arguments when I was younger, and I missed like being able to talk to people who would let that shit slide. Like they could argue with you and then be like, "So, did you want a Bud Light?" You know what I mean? Like after, like, sorry.
Yeah. No,
Yeah. So like, I don't know, man. And I'm a strong advocate for somewhat of tribalism, as long as as long as people are cooperative. You know what I mean? Like, you just like, there's nothing wrong with finding your people and having a good time. You know what I mean? As long as you're not marching into somebody else's village and doing whatever you want with their shit. You know what I mean? You just got to be respectful. Maybe even coexist. You know what I mean? You've seen the bumper stickers. There it is! Booyah! I didn't even know I was making it, but you got it right there on it. If the listener probably does not know, Johnny has it on his forearm. Amongst so much other stuff that I can't be blamed for not knowing that he had it.
It's actually pretty fair.
Yeah.
I give that one to you. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot of ink going on this man.
I can give you that one. A lot of random stuff.
Yeah, so I had to get into comedy, and I was in Omaha, and we had probably 3 to 4 mics a week on a good week, but one of them was 15 minutes every week, and that was pretty cool. And
really,
I didn't
stretch your chops.
I didn't even realize how cool that was, and it was. It wasn't like, I mean, and they're not all like this, but a lot of times you'll go to an open mic and there's just the other comedians there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this place...
It's a sad reality we all know too well.
Yeah. This place always had people because it was a mixed mic, and it was like a very, I don't know, popular hotel/pool hall. It was kind of an odd combination. But they had like giant aquariums, and it was called the Shark something rather.
You were in a mafia run.
It was crazy, dude. It was. Omaha, Nebraska had some connections, man. Oh, Johnny Carson started in Lincoln. Yeah, that's right. Just throwing it out there in case anybody wants to know.
In case anybody's thinking about Johnny Carson and was wondering, there you go.
So I'm in Omaha, and that year I decide I'm going to decide, if that makes sense, that if I'm going to do comedy, because I've done a lot of stuff and just stopped and started doing other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well,
I get that.
I might as well stick with something. You know what I mean? So I decided to take the decision seriously, and I took a year and I went to every comedian who came through, because as I told you, I-80 brings in the actors. You know what I mean? So that year I saw, you're gonna love this fucking lineup. Louis C.K., Bill Cosby, Joey Diaz, who they attempted to...
Shout out to Joey Diaz.
Yeah, they attempted to cancel him. Didn't work.
I love my Uncle Joey.
Yeah, he didn't care, so it didn't work.
Yeah, he's like, cancel me, motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly.
You cocksuckers, you can't. I was like, oh shit.
Who else did I see that year? Oh, I saw Bill Burr.
I saw Joey 2 years ago.
I saw... Who else did I see? I saw Bron White. So, that's 5 or 6 really big time guys.
Top shelf guys.
Yeah, and they were
top
all
shelf comedians.
Yeah.
Not like top shelf honorable dudes. I'm not saying.
And I'm not sure if I was like, especially Cosby.
Well, he's exonerated.
That's right. He's not. He's still guilty. That's the most ironic thing about that, is he got off on a double jeopardy technicality. So the sentencing was, I believe, dismissed, but the conviction itself is still on his record. That's from my really weak ass understanding of what's going on. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Where's Brittany and Alexis when you need her?
That's what I'm saying. She would know the answers. I hope.
So you saw those guys and you started doing mics.
Well, I waited for Cindy to leave town because I was still so deathly afraid that people were going to find out I was going to try comedy. So she travels for business probably, well, back then, before COVID, more than a handful of times a year, So I knew she was going to be out of state for the whole, Wednesday to Sunday cycle. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go do comedy.
You had stuff written down already?
Yeah, I had jokes written, and I thought they were okay. And back then, I was such a wreck. I'm still a wreck, but I'm just used to it. But back then, I was such a wreck, I was pacing back and forth in front of the washing machine. I had this UE boom, like Ultimate Ear speaker, you know what I mean? And I had bought a karaoke microphone that would hook to it. So I would literally practice my jokes while talking into the mic, pacing around in my basement, all this just to get the courage up. And then I went to this place called The Backline, and that's where I did my very first comedy set ever. I've got it recorded. Back then I was such a weirdo. I GoPro'd all of my sets. I had my GoPro hooked to my phone so that I could just like turn the camera on and off and stuff like that. I had @_Aaron Douglas written on a piece of paper that I could set down on stage or hang on the microphone so that people would be able to not only know who I was, but on the back of it I would write my jokes because I was real bad at remembering my jokes. You know what I mean? It was a fucking train wreck, but I got through it, and it was probably one of the scariest things I had done.
Congrats on that.
Yeah, like I don't know, something about it was, you know, people are like that. So I got it done, and I was like, okay, well I can do it again. And also I kind of have this rule that if something scares me and it won't hurt me, that I should probably just do it right then. So it took me a year to just do it right then, but I did it right then. And since then I did 6 months in Omaha. That backline place I went to was probably the worst joint of all of them. It's like their version of the arcade theater, but probably less successful. From what I hear, the arcade actually brings in people. But regardless, who knows? It could be all better now too. It was like the first year that place was open. But there was another place called Barley Street Pub, and I'd call that like the Scarpace's meets Ham Bones. I'd call that like the Scarpace's meets Ham Bones of Omaha. So if you're traveling through Omaha, stop at the Barley Street Pub. Shout out to Bill Queen, runs that mic.
Okay.
Woo! I'm sure Bill's listening right now, dude.
I'm sure. Shout out to Bill Queen.
That's right.
Okay, so you come to Pittsburgh. Start mics immediately?
Yeah. One of the reasons we came to Pittsburgh was because there was comedy available. Cindy is such a caring woman that she actually wanted me to be able to pursue my goal wherever we went for her training. So she, for her training, is allowed to make a list of towns, and then on that list you number the towns in your preference, you know what I mean? And then all the schools get a list of candidates, and they number the candidates in their preference. And then there's this day called match day, and on match day the schools and the candidates align by the school's choice, essentially. Oh, no, okay, that's you, not me. We have the same ring.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought Cindy was calling me, being like, my ears are ringing, you're talking about me. No, but so she puts Pittsburgh up there. I think there was Colorado was on the list, Pittsburgh was on the list, and Boston was on the list.
Boston.
Yeah. So we figured all three of those would be pretty decent comedy places. New York was originally it was on the list, but it wasn't very high. You know what I mean? So we knew comedy was here. We like did internet research to find out. And we got here, and probably first, second weekend we were here, she went to all the mics with me just to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Chris Grebo was one of the first people I bumped into down at Ham Bones.
Shout out to fucking Chris Grebo.
I heard you guys all went up to Chicago like not more than a week ago or something like that?
Something like that. I'll be up there next month too.
Nice.
Or this month,
Nice.
whenever this airs.
Chris, like me, got to be 20-something and bounced.
Yeah.
Decided he'd try something out. So he's up there in Chi-Town. The Windy City, as they call it.
He just graduated from the Second City Conservatory.
Yeah.
So congrats to him on that as well.
No fucking kidding.
Yeah, man. So how do you like it here? What do you think of?
Dude, I love it. Like I said, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm having trouble with people all the time, but it's not real trouble. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Well, as the older I get, the more neurotic I am because the more tolerant I want to be of people, and because of that, those people often are less tolerant of me for some reason. I don't know why. I think like once you.
Is this in like just the world or in the comedy scene or?
Well, I have an odd set of principles. It's kind of like the non-interference policy, but it wraps.
Elaborate on that a little bit, please.
Libertarians have a credo or base rule called the non-interference something rather. It might not be policy. I can't remember what it is. But essentially it says that you should be able to do what you want to do as long as it doesn't prevent someone else from doing what they want to do. Mm-hmm. That's like, it's the non-aggression. It's the non-aggression policy.
Okay.
And once there's aggression toward you, you're allowed to have aggression back.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's like that. So that's kind of part of it. But then another thing I have is this idea or mathematical proof. I think it's true. It's just the truth. Anytime you try to give advice or help someone, it's sure it could be well intentioned, it could be good, but mathematically you have restricted the amount of outcomes possible. So it's wrapped up in a good saying. I heard a comedian who never made it on a podcast, like he was a guy on a podcast talking about a guy who never made it, once said, why would you ever give anyone advice? You're just trying to teach them how to be like you. And,
that's fascinating.
And I have no wants or need to try to shape the world in my image. You know what I mean? So, because of that, I expect other people to respect me in the same way, but that's not fair to them. They never agreed to that policy. You know what I mean? Like, but then they come up to me and give me all kinds of fucking advice about how to be a good person, and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm working on it.
How to be a good person?
Yeah, that's what they want. That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants to shape the world a little bit in their image so that they feel safe. That's like the core.
Have I done this to you?
I don't think so, but that's probably why we're friends. Like, if someone comes up to me and tells me, stop, and I say, stop what? And they go, this thing that didn't actually fucking hurt anybody unless they decided to be hurt, I kind of get off the ship with that guy. You know what I mean? like I don't need somebody waiting for me to fuck up. That's not a friend. That's a critic.
Yeah.
So
a hater.
Yeah, it is. That's what it is. So I just don't need
Kevin Gates said if I could walk on water, haters would say it's because I can't swim.
I like that. I love
it.
So yeah, but that's one thing that I ran into comedy that I did not realize was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a bunch of people trying to have fun every once in a while going, come on, man, and that would be about the end of it. But it's not every once in a while somebody going, come on, man. It's
in my humble opinion,
yeah.
I think it's too many people looking at it as a competition.
Well, I ain't doing that.
If you get on, you know what I mean? If you get on, I can't get on.
Yeah.
Or if he gets a show, that means I can't get a show. I
think
too many people.
Or just, I should have got that.
Yeah.
Be like, why would that person?
Yeah.
It's.
I just think there's too much of that.
I'm hoping it's a slow burn for me. You know what I mean? If it ain't, I'm really wasting a lot of time. You know what I mean?
I dig it, brother.
Yeah.
I'm trying to grasp whatever I can. I know I'm not. Oh, this is gonna sound sadder than this. I know I'm not gonna live that long. Mid-50s if I'm lucky.
I'm hoping it'll be longer, but I don't know.
I'm trying to live some more goddamn life.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Theoretically, it's possible that when you die, all you have are your memories. If this is the only form of life, and if life is or if energy is unextinguishable, which is debatable, but regardless, your memories might be in something like they were actually created. That might be the only record of you in your afterlife.
Where are you at on the supernatural, Douglas?
I mean, I don't mind exploring the ideas of it, but I take a very practical approach.
Have you had any paranormal experiences?
None that you could prove, and none that were that nuts. I mean, one time me and my little sister went into an abandoned farmhouse, and there were bib overalls hanging on the like a nail in the stairs up to the second story.
Yeah.
And we could hear somebody snoring up there, and we just run away. It could have been a hobo, but for anyone to live...
It definitely kind of sounds like someone was sleeping up there.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But no one goes and squats in a house that's 9 miles from the closest town.
Hey, man, that was a hell of a walk they were taking.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, well, I needed a new can of soup. What am I going to do? Oh, I walk fucking 9 miles to town? No, nobody does that shit. You know what I mean? So why was there somebody there? I don't know. Could have been a ghost.
Nothing like seeing cryptids or anything like that?
No, my sister and my dad both claimed to have seen the same, I believe, old guy in the house that we grew up in.
Oh.
I never saw him, and then also my sister... And who knows? Because kids just say the darndest things. But she thought,
love that Cosby.
Yeah, baby. No, but she thought her bedroom was haunted, so she'd sleep in my brother and I's bedroom because we shared a bedroom until I don't know how old she was, in her late single digits or whatever. And we took the doorknob off of her bedroom and just closed the door. We didn't go in there, and I don't know why. It was just kid stuff, probably. But my dad and her both claimed to have seen
pretty creepy.
A haunt thing. And my grandma told me a pretty good UFO story.
Well, you got it. You got it on the on deck there.
The UFO story?
Yeah.
Well, it's not so much that it like came down and like vaporized anybody or molested a cow, but it was like a very honest, like believable delivery from a woman who's a joker and kind of she's not known to say these types of things, you know. So she says,
Midnight Toad.
right. So she's we live in Boone, and Boone has the National Guard there, right? And the National Guard has an air base. It's a very small one, but it is an air base. And she said that a small truck or large automobile sized, like, I don't know if it's a pill shape or whatever, just an oblong shape. Okay. You know what I mean? Was moving around the neighborhood they have, which was probably 3/4 mile from this Air Force place or whatever. And she said it's completely silent, and it would move straight lines, stop, a light would come on sometimes, and straight lines stop. It was around dusk or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So they got in the car and followed it, and they said they followed it all the way past the Air Force base or whatever it's called, because it's like an airfield. And they followed it past there, and at that point it was, you know, off-roaded. There was no way to follow it. You know what I mean? So they watched it go away. But she's not the kind of lady to take those stories. She says completely silent, and it just moved in straight lines, acted like it was checking some shit out, and then they started to follow it, and it just took a straight line and went away until they couldn't follow it anymore.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So what's next for Aaron Douglas?
Probably Colorado again.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm hoping that the I-25 corridor is the future home of entertainment. There's over 300 days of sun a year in Colorado.
Okay.
It's the Front Range. They call it the Front Range. So I-25 is a highway that runs straight north and south, take you all the way from Phoenix to, you know, top of Wyoming or whatever it is. So it goes by Colorado Springs, Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins, Cheyenne, bunches of places. You know what I mean? And on that area, it's right after the mountains.
Is the world's biggest truck stop in Iowa?
It is the I-80 truck stop. Yeah.
You've been to it?
Oh yeah, many times.
What do you think of it?
Not a whole lot. I mean, it's just something.
Surprising.
It's got like 2 or 3 full-size semis inside of it that they use just to like sell accessories.
Oh, that's pretty damn big.
Yeah, and it's
so it's massive.
It's massive, yeah, and but it feels just like a Walmart for people who are truck drivers. You know what I mean? You got like a bunch of CBs, a bunch of chrome antennas, you know, little lug nuts for your truck, 2 or 3 chain food places, showers, barbers, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's on 80. You'll probably see it someday. If you start touring for comedy, you will be riding up and down I-80.
Oh, I'm sure. So what's taking you back to Colorado?
We just, after we're done in Pittsburgh, if we want to, we can be done in Pittsburgh when Cindy's done with her training.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So at that point, we get to choose where we're going to move and try to put in roots. You know what I mean? And we just never really thought about Pittsburgh as like the final landing place. It was always a jumping stone that we were at because of the giant hospital system that's here.
Yeah.
The giant hospital system that's here brings in so many patients that Cindy, in the 3 to 4 years, depending on regardless, it could be somewhere in there, you know what I mean? In that time, she'll see so many different patients that she'll have, you know, like 7 years of experience that you would have had from like working in a college.
It's like compressed experience.
Yeah, because there's just a huge population of people that are all under the same insurance plan, UPMC, and they all get funneled right to this city from like 3 states all around. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disparage those suffering with mental illness. I'm going to take the high road.
Well, Cindy would be pissed if you did. She'd kick your ass, bro.
Oh boy.
She's here to help. All right.
All right. All right.
No, but we might move to Colorado, and I think that there'll be. Obviously, I like all the outdoor stuff.
Yeah.
And Cindy really had a lot of fun. I was super happy when we were out there because she visited, like I said, so she got to know the place. And like I said, there's over 300 days of sun a year on the I-25 corridor, which is the after the mountains, because the jet stream comes in from the Pacific Ocean, dumps all the moisture in the mountains, and then by the time it comes out the other side over the Great Plains, it's dry air. So because of that, that's why Hollywood is where it is, because of dry air. They want to be able to film any day of the week without having to worry and schedule around weather. That's the whole point. So since Colorado has so much sun, it's good for filming, and it already has a notorious comedy club run by a lady named Wendy. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a Funny Bone or Improv or whatever. But people really love to go to it. It's kind of like Comedy on State in Madison, you know.
Anything you want to promote, Douglas?
Nope, just listen to the podcast, regular episodes. If you hate it, I don't know. Don't listen anymore, I guess.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on. You're an interesting man.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting stuff there.
We didn't even get it under the first layer of the onion.
Well, you know,
This onion stinks, buddy.
that's what part ones are for. You know?
Yeah.
I've gone multiple parts with multiple people, because sometimes you just got to dive deeper.
I don't know. I might be a shallow Hal.
So, well, thanks for coming on. Guys, thanks for listening. Until next time, peace and love.
Inquisitive mind.